This is Real Sports Talk, Rumack and the Greek, featuring Billy the Greek and Stormin Norman Rumack. Brought to you by the good people at Costa and Carpets for Life.
Hello, everybody. How the heck are you? Are you happy that you're looking at Billy Georgiatsakis and Stormin Norm Rumack? Well, we hope you're happy. But if not, if it's not our kissers, then maybe we'll make you happy with what we say. Either way, we're going to try and keep it pleased. We got so much to talk about. The Major League Baseball playoffs, now it's World Series time. And it just goes to show you that just when you think you know what's going to happen, you don't really know, in spite of the X, all those X stats, X goals as in expected. That's in every sport from here to Timbuktu. X goals, X home runs, X strikeouts, everything expected. But Billy Georgiatsakis, and of course we'll talk about the NFL, and Dak is back. That's the headline for Billy. Dak is back, and as you'd expect, they coasted past the Detroit Lions. However, the New York Giants are still doing well, and they're in the same division with Philadelphia, who's doing well. And it's a long season. We'll see what happens. Speaking of Philadelphia, what a time to be a sports fan, Billy, in the city of brotherly love. You got your Eagles, and now, for the first time since 2009, the Phillies in the World Series. And Billy,
not the Phillies, my Phillies.
Wait a second. What happened to your Blue Jays?
Look, for us long-suffering fans of the Philadelphia, what are for us long-suffering Philly fans, it's just rejuvenated to see. And again, it just goes to show, Norm Rumack, it doesn't matter what you do through 162, as long as you come together at the right time. Think about like me and you at your advanced age, right? You're pushing almost, you got 1 foot and we just came together at the perfect time just to create magic.
Yeah.
But you know what? For this show to like grow, this, that, the other, you're going to have to let me speak a little bit more. That introduction was rather lengthy. And
True,
I'd appreciate
but it was good.
I appreciate if you cut it down a little bit and give the Greek a little time to have opinions as well, right? I'm not here to be your lackey or your sidekick. The Greek wants his time in the limelight, baby.
And you just finished off a minute and a half right there.
Listen, had a long, as you know, and you know me, I'm not a shy guy to explain that to the people exactly. I'm a man of the people, so I tell like it is. I've had a kind of exasperating, if you will, week with my team of psychotherapists and psychiatrists.
Oh, what did you learn?
So what they suggested to me is that I become somewhat more humble, right? I become more patient, and instead of and I become a better listener. So, having said that, it was difficult for me to sit through that 2-minute diatribe and not say.
And you've been going 3 minutes now, so I just thought.
So whatever the case, I'm a changed man. I'm just here for the people, Norm. That's it. Just here
Sounds
for the people.
Sounds good. Okay.
And the people want to know. Obviously, they want to know, and here's what I'm going to start off with.
Yeah.
For you folks out there, I'm going to ask you a question. You used to be a Leaf guy. You're a quasi-Leaf guy. You're a little Rogers
I
thing.
like him. I'm just more neutral.
Rogers give you the boot out the door. You've been a little, you haven't been the warmest of individuals since the.
That's not true.
All right. So wherever you are, maybe you're a neutral observer. I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you a serious question. Yeah. When you saw Wayne Simmons, Wayner, and Kyle Clifford in the lineup against Winnipeg, right?
Yeah.
As a fan, when you saw this, did you feel different?
It's not different. I mean, I'll tell you what.
Did you have a different feeling when you saw them in the lineup? Just a simple question.
No, because you know what? As I get older, both as a person and as a sports fan, Billy, it sounds cynical, but I think it's realistic and I think it's good. I'm interested in the outcome, regardless of it's my first line player, my second, third, or fourth, because it's not always your first line player. Sometimes it could be your Wayne Simmons. So I wouldn't say I get excited.
No, I didn't ask you if you got excited, man. Well, I asked you. Did you feel a little different? Were you
really,
more from a physical perspective? Were you more reassured?
No. So because I think this whole stuff about okay, whether you're referring to dropping the gloves or intimidation, I think let me tell you why I think that's a little or a lot overrated. You know how the Montreal Canadiens in the 70s with Scott? No, that's important.
Oh,
how did they get around like the Flyers, who were very intimidating?
Because Larry Robinson would break somebody's nose if they dropped the gloves.
No, but they didn't need to. You know
That's
why?
right.
Because the teams, let's say the Flyers, that try to intimidate them, they couldn't skate with the Montreal Canadiens. And there's no greater form of intimidation. You know that expression, speed kills?
All right.
There's no greater form of intimidation in hockey than guys who are too fast for you to keep up with. That's intimidation.
Yeah, intimidation. Yeah. Tell that to the mid-'80s Oilers who were talking about intimidation. Tell that to guys like Semenko. Tell that to guys like McSorley. Yeah. Tell that to rough guys going to but that's not intimidation.
If you can't catch Paul Coffey and Wayne Gretzky, you're not going to win, period.
Listen, what I'm trying to explain to you guys that obviously have no knowledge of the game like I do, obviously, played a... Listen, here's what happened. I'll tell you guys a story quickly. Yeah. I have a friend, right? I'm not going to say who it is.
Come on.
I'm not going to disclose that information. Don't make me. There's a lot of people watching. I have a friend, and back when he was a little bit younger, happened to find himself in the big house. Not the big house, the other big house. Broadview and what you call it, Gerard, the big house, right?
Right. Don jail.
So listen, it's a big house. Here's the story, anyways, from what I heard, and not verbatim, anyways, that if you get challenged to a fight, right, or if something happens in there, you argue for your jug up, your cookies, or whatever happens, and there's a physical altercation, right? And you don't show up for the physical altercation.
Of course,
you know
what happens? Picked on.
Your time is. But you know what? All you got to do, Norm Rumack, is step up. And when you're talking about stepping up, you know what that gives you? Even if you get the snot, you should know. Our good buddy Stormin, people respect you. So here's what I'm going to tell you. Yeah. That bench is a little bit different. You might not notice as a fan, but I do. That bench is a little bit different. They're a little bit more secure with Simmons and Clifford in the lineup. They're a little more. They grew about an inch, an inch and a half.
I disagree.
And those guys play a vital. What do you mean you disagree? You haven't watched hockey your life? You're telling me a physical component is not necessary?
Well, I'm saying the fighting. Yeah, you got to deliver hits. Hitting is part of the game, but you don't have to be a heavyweight boxing champion to deliver a good hit, right?
Here's what
that's the point. Hitting is part of the game.
But
yes, but you can hit within the rule. But there's not. Hitting is good. You got to hit.
Where's Roger Lajoie, man? I gotta do something with you next week. You never listen to me, man.
But I'm saying, I think if you're talking, depends on how you're talking about utilizing the player. If you're talking about
why were they in the lineup then?
To add physicality.
Wait. So let me ask you something. Yeah. When you watch the game
you're asking me before the game.
Let me ask you something. Yeah. You saw Matthews the game before, the couple games before. It was not a coincidence that they were in the lineup. You saw Matthews taking shots from Dallas, especially big bruisers in the back end. Yeah. You saw the face washes. You saw the contact. Yeah. Do you think it was an accident that Clifford and Simmons were in that game? And do you think it was an accident they won 4-1? Do you think that's just coincidence?
But the Leafs have tried this in the playoffs, Billy, and I'll ask you, how's adding those physical players who are more physical, how has that helped the Leafs in the playoffs?
All right, so
has it made any difference?
The answer is no. Think of it this way. All right, think of it this way.
Yeah.
You got Simmons and Clifford replacing the guy with 3 last names. What's the guy? Jordan. Zach Aston Reese. Okay. There's never been a guy with a hyphenated name that's worth its salt. Right away, hyphenated name, you got to go to the minors. And then you got the other guy, Ingva, the smoothest skating, 6'4", 230-pound, useless hockey player that God has ever put on this earth. So how can it get any worse to have a 13-year veteran in Simmons and a guy like Clifford in the lineup? So I don't care about toughness, but when you're replacing 2-bit players that offer absolutely nothing, at least with Clifford, that smile he has with his teeth in 50 different places, he just looks a little crazy, that guy, right?
Well, but a lot of guys in hockey look crazy. I'm just saying, I think it's overrated. That's all.
It's not overrated, Norm Rumack, because you know what happens? It's contagious. When one guy, and I've made this analogy before, but obviously you don't listen when the Greek talks. Maybe you should start.
Depends what you're saying.
If me and you were to go to the bottom line, say we walked into the bottom line Saturday, ram-packed, right?
Yeah.
Me, you, and Jordan, 3 pretty boys. We walk in,
Yeah.
we're rap. If we got a couple knuckleheads beside us when we walk in, there's a little more room on the dance floor. Doesn't mean you're going to get in an altercation, but there's a little more room for me to put my arm around a young lady and give her the little pearls of wisdom because I got a knucklehead beside me. It's the same thing in hockey. You guys don't understand that. It offers more freedom for expression, and it offers a reassurance. And with that reassurance, the psychological impact allows players to be better. And then what happens? Guys like Morgan Riley, Norm Rumack, I shouldn't yell, man. I gotta go back in treatment, man. I gotta talk to my team again next week, man. You always send me right to the psychologist every Tuesday, man. You send me to the shrink.
Wow,
Here's
I didn't know I had that kind of aura.
Listen, forget aura. I'm talking.
Why did you stop? You're on a roll.
All right, I'm gonna tell you what a roll's like. When Robertson, the kid, when he got ran over, right?
Yeah.
Did you notice that one of the guys right to his defense was Morgan Riley's not a fighter?
Yeah.
Right? He went in there and started trying to.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's what I'm talking about. And it's my estimation that when you got guys like that on the squad, like Clifford and Simpson, it rubs off on other guys, and it makes a team a little bit tougher, a little bit taller, especially. Yeah. Hold on, don't interrupt me. Especially when you're going into a barn that plays a physical style of hockey.
Here's all you got to do, Billy. I won't repeat my house league experience.
Oh, please.
Well, here, I'll give you.
Are you going to talk about that goal you scored in 72, man?
I was going to mention that. I was going to talk to the guy who kept cross-checking me in the back of the net, right?
Was it Alan from Midtown?
Huh?
Was it Alan from Midtown?
No, it wasn't. Alan was driving his cab then, Billy. Come on, get your story straight. No, the guy kept cross-checking me. But the worst of all, he thought I was going to be his. It's a word that starts with a B and ends CH, right? In hockey terms, I'm talking.
I'm not I'm not the best of students.
How about BI? BI.
Biatch? Biatch? Yeah, biatch, eh?
That's good. I like that.
And by the way, man, Marty Roberts, I've been suffering with the Philadelphia Phillies for decades, man. I'm not a bandwagon hopper. Go ahead.
All right. So he thought I was going to be his biatch. That's a nice way, right? Because that's not a CRTC violation. So I was going to be his biatch. But the worst part, he was laughing because he kept doing this 5 or 6. So you know what I did?
I know, yeah.
I was a son of a biatch. And instead of being a gentleman, asking him if he'd like to fight, I didn't bother. I just skated alongside him, put my left arm up. I gave him speed bag shots about 30. It's quick from my twin dragon training. And then he stayed away from me.
So in other words, what you're doing is you're advocating.
Hear that, Billy? I said a bad word.
Yeah.
Starts with BA and ends with RD.
Yeah. You're out of control, man. You're out of control. Post concussion syndrome for you too.
But seriously, I saw Mario Lemieux.
Forget Mario. Man. We'll never talk about Mario with you. Don't ever put your
Why?
In the
I
same
went to his
sentence.
golf tournament.
I don't
so
care.
There.
Don't ever put your name in the same sense with Mario. Don't even put it with the Greek for that matter.
I love Mario. He rules.
Hold on. So what you're telling the fans, and we're going to get to a little bit of obviously, man, the legend's going to be picking some football a little bit later. We're going to get to the baseball.
Yeah.
But before we get there, let me explain to you something.
Yeah.
Right? What you're doing here is you're advocating for physical violence, and what you suggested to me. Hold on. Yeah. What you suggested to me is you giving that guy, the poor guy who knows what happened to that kid. you give him a you give him a knuckle sandwich, Rumack style. And you know what you said? And it had a positive effect on how he treated you. No way. But physicality's got no part in hockey. Where are you going, man?
No, I'm just saying in the National Hockey League.
Oh, that's different.
You don't have to be a fighter to send that message. Because what I was saying was
how else can you send a message?
I'm saying if someone's abusing you, send them. But you don't have to pick a fight. Just hit the guy hard, or hit him with your shoulder under his kisser, and then he'll think twice. Because if he gets hit, you don't have to knuckle him. Just hit him. Finish your hits against him. Nobody likes getting hit, right? So I'm just play the game. Hitting's part of the game.
So
That's
if
what
you
I'm
want
saying.
to play the game, and if you want to hit, if you want to throw that all
Extra
in there,
hit,
in 2022, in your estimation, with the additions of Simmons and Clifford into the lineup, are the Leafs a better club from the physical perspective with those two guys in there? Simple yes or no. And do they make a difference in the outcome of the game?
I think it's game to game, period by period. Billy, the question, to be fair, is can they keep up skating wise with other guys? That's a part of the equation. You need them in this day and age. Why is there less fighting? Because the third and fourth. Hang on. I've got nothing against any of the guys you mentioned. Just to make that perfectly clear, I'm just saying, in today's NHL, the way the rules are, your third and fourth line guys have to be able to skate very well. Because if they can't, the other team's third and fourth liners will just blow by them. I'm just saying, physical helps. It's a physical game.
The game is not played. Hold on. You're talking about. We continuously talk about this speed and skill. This skating.
It is.
The game is played in tight corners too, Norm.
Yes,
it's not played with. And frankly, that's one of. Hold on. Pay attention. Yeah. You're talking about the game speed and skill, but the game gets tighter and more condensed as the season matures and into the playoffs where the Leafs haven't found success. So in a tighter game, when there's less, don't but Billy, listen. In a tighter game when there's less rink, then you need to buy space in a different fashion, and that comes from a physical perspective.
Yeah, but Billy, the last 2 years in the playoffs, ahead of the Montreal series, ahead of the Tampa series, you told me on this prestigious show right here that you felt comfortable about the Leafs. You told me in the fall you felt more comfortable about the Leafs because they had this physicality. And what happened the last 2 years in the playoffs with all this additional physicality, intimidation? Where did the Leafs go? They went golfing April 15th.
So you're telling me.
Well,
you're telling me.
You're
no. You're putting. You
said you did.
Don't ever try to get one up on a Greek man from that mean streets of the Danforth. Right? Let me tell you, here's what you're right and you're wrong. And Leaf fans, man, and again, they drive me insane.
Why? But
I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Because the difference between winning and losing.
Yeah.
In the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah.
Comes down to the line is so small. We're talking about the guy Nick Paul from Tampa Bay scoring the 1-all goal to win a series.
But that wasn't the only thing. Their goalkeeping improved, and they got better as the series go along as a team. You got to admit, come on, Billy, that's a big part of the story. Their goalkeeping was not great the first couple of games.
The point is, what I'm trying to tell you, the difference and the gap between the Leafs and Tampa Bay and Florida and any team that you have, the gap at the top is minute. Yeah. What Leaf fans should be concerned about in terms of the long-term prognosis of this club is everybody's coming from the back. Like when you're talking about Buffalo, when you're talking about Detroit, when you're talking about Montreal, all those teams are getting better. So this window that the Leafs have, you know what it is.
I agree. It's small.
It's razor thin. So you know what it means. Razor thin means like tomorrow, the tonight, the next day, the next month, the next year. Because if you get to the point in time, here's what's going to happen, Norm.
Yeah.
Pay attention. Yeah. Brad Joseph, pay attention. Here's what's going to happen. If you keep going into the playoffs and you keep coming up short, you know what's going to happen. Before you know it, you're going to have the Red Wings on your back. You're going to have Buffalo on your back. You're going to have Ottawa, and all these teams are going to pass
Billy, I'll tell you what would make the biggest difference to the Leafs in the playoffs. It's not one more hit, one less hit. It's the same problem we've talked about a trillion, zillion, kabillion times since the beginning of creation. And that is the Leafs spent too much money on their top four forwards. It leaves them short on having depth on defense, goalkeeping, and probably their third and fourth
how
line.
you make me feel?
That is the biggest problem, and I'm sure Leafs Nation people watching, that's what's got them into trouble more than anything, is they need a number 2 stud defenseman to go with the one that they have.
Shout out to James Foley, Leaf Nation.
James Foley probably agrees with me.
Here's what you know how you make me feel when you talk?
Great.
I'll tell you exactly.
Like glad all over, like the Dave Clark 5 song.
It's like when you talk, here's how I feel, and it's just let the situation explain itself. Yeah. So you talk, and you know what it's like. I'm at a Tim Hortons, right? Yeah. And the person in front of me is at the window for 20 minutes having conversations. Yeah. Or what's up? You know what? You're a frustrating individual, Norm Rumack. You're the
But
same.
that's what makes me the late night vampire.
But you're the
The
same.
lightning rod of controversy.
Yeah, but you're
the
the
outlaw of object.
Hey, fungus breath. Listen, man.
No,
I'm
it's
talking-
fungus face.
A
Get it
fungus
right.
face.
Barf bag breath. You confused them. Come on.
All right, so here's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. What?
You're the biggest Leaf supporter of all time, and now you have nothing nice to say about
I didn't say
an upper echelon team. You have nothing nice to say
I-
about Wayne.
I-
You come here and you said Wayne Simmons.
I didn't say nothing nice.
No,
I'm
you
just
said
saying.
Wayne Simmons and Kyle Clifford are useless. That's what you
I
just
didn't say
told
they're
me.
useless.
In today's NHL.
I know.
That's what
I
you
didn't
just
say
said.
that. I'm just saying you asked me if that changed my feeling about the game, not them personally. I've said before they're probably the nicest guys. I've actually messaged Wayne Simmons. Believe
message you back?
No, I'm saying I don't think we haven't met in person. But I said I admire. I said on this show. I said I haven't met them. I'm sure he's a
Are
gentleman.
you in the habit
He's
of
got-
messaging strangers?
Yes.
So you just message people on your home board in your palatial estates, and you just
Well, that's why I'm the late night vampire.
and you just message guys. You're a weirdo, man. You know
But
what?
that's why you love me, Billy George Atsakis.
All right, man.
Because I am. You know the song by The Doors? People are strange.
Yeah.
When you're a stranger.
You're a weird bird, man. You're a weird
Faces
bird,
look
man.
ugly.
How in the blue hell did they hire you in the fan in the first place? I can't.
Because I'm strange.
You're an odd bird. Speaking, I don't know what kind of segue that was into.
I played the drums for 10
first of
years.
all-
I'm trying to learn how to sing, you know?
Don't quit your day job. Obviously we're here at the bottom line, 22 Front Street West, stone's throw from the Hockey Hall of Fame. Just before we throw it to our Costa Classic and our good friend Nick Borsch at Carpets for Life, just a special shout out to what I consider, met him today, what I consider already, like I know the guy lifetime, Paul Rose, and Rosie was on here earlier, giving the gooch the business and what have you. I enjoyed meeting him. I enjoyed listening to him. Looking forward
he's a
forward
good
to
dude.
Saturday, 8 a.m., man. You know what I'm talking about. We'll see you then. In the meantime, let's enjoy this week's Costa Classic. We'll be right back.
Under the command of the starter, it's the 10th edition of the $1 million North America Cup in the backstretch, and there they go. They're off and pacing from the far outside. Presidential ball, Captain Fantastic in the center of the track. Riyadh is leaving out. The starting gate has a spot on the inside. Into the first turn, the starting gate and Captain Fantastic battle for the lead. In between them, that's Pacific Sunshine. Life Sign is in between pacers. Caught on the outside, Riyadh. Presidential ball on the outside all the way in that first turn. Beastmaster got away in seventh in heavy traffic. Further back along the inside, Native Born, No Way was the trailer. The opening quarter in 27 seconds. The starting gate is on the lead. Life Sign comes to the outside from second. Life Sign is being sent to the front by John Campbell as they move over to the half. And back in second is the starting gate. Third on the inside, Pacific Sunshine. Riyadh is fourth out. Captain Fantastic from fifth. Beastmaster is further back. On the outside in sixth at the half was Presidential Ball. The trailer's Native Born and No Way. And the half was in 55 seconds. Life Sign 28 seconds to get the lead in the second quarter. Life Sign bringing them into the final 3/8 of the mile in Cup 10. The starting gate is in second. Riyadh third on the outside. Pacific Sunshine is fourth. Presidential Ball is fifth on the outside, about 4 lengths off the lead. Presidential Ball is winding up 3 wide at the top turn. So is Beastmaster. Further back on the inside are Pacific Sunshine, Captain Fantastic, and Native Born 3/4. 1:22.2, and they're at the top of the stretch. Life Sign is still there. Presidential Ball is coming to him on the outside. Life Sign, Presidential Ball, and Beastmaster. Presidential Ball is coming on in Cup 10. Presidential Ball showing a late lead. Presidential Ball wins Cup 10 for Ron Waples by half a length over the starting gates in 1:51, a track and stakes record.
By now, you know the name Costa TV.
If you want
An
to ace your
industry
paper,
leader producing
download
unique,
Grammarly. Are you?
high-quality digital content promoting harness racing in Ontario. Features, virtual programming, live events, and more. Costa TV has it covered. Follow our social media channels and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page to view the latest content. And if you're looking to bet your favorite Ontario track, check out hpibet.com. Costa TV, taking Ontario racing global.
Welcome back. And folks, I hope you enjoyed Billy and I's verbal version of a bench clearing brawl. I thought it was pretty good as entertainment goes. And of course, that's what we try to do.
Man, that's not what we try to do, Norm.
That's what we do.
You said that there's no teleprompters here. There's no scripts. There's
Well,
no
I
nothing.
know that.
But you know what there is? There is a
What?
borderline Hall of Famer on your end, a savvy veteran,
Uh-huh.
but somebody that's still Norm Rumack.
Yeah.
When the two of us get together, man,
Yeah.
one of us is headlining this program. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. What do you
All
got to say to the people? Entertain the people. Say something witty, man. Say something witty, man. Talk about your pimp days in Windsor.
Oh, you mean going to what I used to do in Windsor?
Nobody wants to know about your sexual exploits. No,
Isn't this something
a family
most fellas
program.
talk about?
Eh? Listen, this is live on air. It's a serious
that's
program.
right.
We're here
Yeah.
to talk a little bit of sports.
I
and
know.
My
I'm
Philadelphia
just saying,
Phillies.
if you're in Windsor, check out the nightclubs in Southfield and West Bloomfield. I'm assuming they're still there 40 years later. You're guaranteed to have a good time. I'll just say that.
They give you right now a senior's discount if you go over there, eh?
You know what? Can I tell you a funny story?
No. We got no
You
time.
sure? Okay.
We got no time for that.
So Billy's all adorned. Suddenly, the former Blue Jay diehard, talk about traitors. The Philly diehard, who used to be a Blue Jay fan, and now look at him. He's adorned in red. And Billy, the Phillies were the team. What were they in June? 5 games under 500. We were talking about the Mets. We were talking about the Dodgers.
Maybe you were.
Nobody gave any love to the Phillies. And all those stats that we rely on, usually they're pretty good. But in this case, they went down the sewer. And good for Philadelphia. And now going into what may be a classic. Houston Astros, who've won the AL 4 out of the last 6 years. They are a powerhouse and a machine. So
I
having
wouldn't
said
go that far. Relax, man. I wouldn't go that far. Powerhouse and machine.
Well, when you win 4 league titles in 6 years, what the hell else do you call it?
Yeah, they're impressive, but by no means is Houston a powerhouse. Yeah, a good little ball club. This should be a good little series. Here's what I'm going to tell you about the Philadelphia Phillies, and obviously been a Philly fan now way back. So it's for me. It's
haven't been there since 2009. That's the last time.
Bittersweet, but here's what I'll tell you. Yeah. A good friend of mine is also a good friend, Robbie Thompson, head coach and manager this year of the Philadelphia Phillies. And it's important to know Joe Girardi. And then you talk about how important it is to have a leader, a manager. Joe Girardi's managing that club early in the year. They're spinning their wheels. He gets fired. Robbie Thompson, the Canadian Hall of Famer, grown up with the Yankees, gets the position at an advanced age and does wonders with that club, does wonders with them. And you know what they did? You know how you can tell? That's not a ball club right there. That's a gang. That's a cult in Philadelphia in that room. And all credit goes to Robbie Thompson. Again, you have all the offensive weapons you want. You have two of the best starters. Well, you arguably you might have the best starter in baseball right now in Wheeler, right? Arguments there for Verlander, but Wheeler's been unbelievable. And this goes to show you come together at the right time, Dennis Bailey. Yeah. You come together at the right time as a ball club. Doesn't matter what you do through 162. You got to get in. You got to conspire as a club to take that next step. In the Philadelphia Phillies obviously have Brad Motor City Smitty, one of my favorite guys. Somewhere in the world watching Smitty, what's shaking. We're going to have you on one of these days, talk about your Colorado Avalanche. Look forward to talking to you. Always a pleasure when your face pops up here. Anyways, Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah, well, you're right. It's an amazing story. And their first baseman, they interviewed him after the game, Reese, and he was saying that, imagine this guy earlier in the playoffs, because he struggled a bit at the plate, he was getting booed. But you know what? I think when you're in Philadelphia, those jokes they talk about the Philadelphia fans, they're actually the truth. Like there's a funny line because it really happened at an Eagles game. They booed Santa Claus.
They cheered Michael Irvin getting carted off.
Well, I'm saying they're nasty, but they're even nastier on their own players.
Hold on, nasty.
That toughens them up, right?
It toughens up. Here's what happens. Anybody that's ever been a part of a championship club, right? And people that are in the game and people that are around it know something special happens in that locker room. Something special happens when they come together. You can't really pinpoint.
Well-
You can't put a finger on it. It just happens. And it's happened to Philadelphia. And front and center, the lead actor in that club is obviously a polarizing guy. Some called him the most overrated guy in baseball, Bryce Harper. And to see
Yeah.
Bryce Harper shine in the biggest of times.
Yeah.
There's no bigger stage than the playoffs.
Yeah.
And when you shine the biggest of times, you know what you do. You start cementing yourself. And when we talked about the Leafs earlier, that's when you cement yourself. But don't make no mistake about it. It hasn't been a smooth ride for
No,
Harper
it
or the
isn't. In June,
Phillies.
well, in June, I think, am I right? They were 4 games under 500, right? That's not exactly formula. And another guy who knows a little bit about adversity in a different way, Dusty Baker. He was fired by Washington, right? There's a guy, he's been to the series, but he's never won the series. So he's got a lot of motivation.
I love Dusty Baker as a manager. I love Dusty Baker. I love Dusty Baker as a man. I just love the way I like his mannerisms, the way he is. Like you see the guy, even though you don't know him, you have this vision that he's just a lovable, sweet, smart, savvy guy, old school guy. Combination of analytics and baseball sense. Everybody loves Dusty. You won't hear many people, myself included, say a bad word about Dusty Baker, right?
Well, good
From
for
a player to a professional to thing. And that's the one outlier here that makes people somewhat accepting of the Houston Astros, and that's maybe Dusty Baker winning a world championship. But I'm on the record as telling you that Philadelphia is on some kind of roll. There's only one problem. Philadelphia, their depth in their pitching, their depth in the bullpen might come back to haunt them, because if Houston is one thing, Houston is deep from an arms perspective, from a bullpen perspective. They're shut down, they're locked down, and therein lies the difference. You know what? The only way you win that series, if you're Philadelphia, pay attention, I'm a baseball guy, right? Is if Wheeler is the MVP of that series. Wheeler needs to be the MVP of that series for the Phillies to beat the Astros. Plain and simple. Wheeler needs to be Verlander twice. Wheeler needs to be the best pitcher on the planet, and Nola needs to be the second best pitcher. If those two things happen, they got a shot. Because when you look at those lineups, 1 through 6, 1 through 7, right? Two of the better hitting lineups in baseball, and Philadelphia does not take a backseat to the Astros 1 through 7 in that lineup. No way, no chance. Can Wheeler be the guy? We're going to find out.
But I've got to think, Billy, from, you speak to a lot of players, all that playoff, all those postseason games that Houston has played in the last, 6 years overall, you can't replicate that experience in tough games. You're up, you're down, in between, whatever. It's like that's encyclopedic. You can't teach that to somebody.
You can't teach that, but here's
experience it.
But there's a counter to that, and it's simple. When Philadelphia up 2-1 against San Diego, does not let that go. San Diego puts up 4 in the top of the first. Philly bounces right back. For me, Philadelphia's playing the best baseball of any club, Houston aside. Worthy adversary, and as I mentioned for the umpteenth time, if Wheeler does what he's done for the better part of the last 2 months, he's been the best pitcher on the planet.
Right.
With all due respect to DeGroms, to Verlander, to anybody, nobody better than Wheeler. And if he comes through, look for Philadelphia to win that in 6.
What, man? I'll run this by. What if Verlander is Verlander?
Here's the here's the issue that I have with Verlander. That Philadelphia, in comparison to the Yankees, we look at the Yankees, but there's a lot of holes in that Yankee lineup. Right? Yeah. If Judge is not hitting, we saw a Yankee team. We saw a Yankee team that couldn't hit a baseball. You saw Josh Donaldson atrocious. You saw everybody but Bader on that club. Yeah. Philadelphia's all guns blazing, and they can hit the baseball. There's not holes in that lineup. When you go through that Yankee lineup, and Donaldson and Judge and Stanton are not hitting, or Stanton a little bit. When you go through that hole, there's nobody on the Yankees that scares you. There's nobody on the Yankees that scares you. Philadelphia's coming in piping red hot, and they got 7-8 guys in that lineup that can do damage. So it's not going to be the same kind of low scoring domination. Philadelphia's going to be heard of, especially with the sticks.
I'm gonna. Well, I might as well mention it. I'm going to pick the Astros in 5.
You get all your information from Marty Roberts. That's what he says. Astros in 5. Just goes to show
we're both pretty bright guys.
Now, here's the thing. You guys might be bright guys, but I'm a visionary. I see the future before it happens, and the future looks like this. It's going to be Blake Wheeler's going to set the tempo. He's going to set it. He's going to set it, and Philadelphia win. How you doing, love? Pleasure. Philadelphia wins that.
And how's Wheeler going to do against Mr. Bregman?
You know what?
He's a hell of a player.
Absolutely,
400.
absolutely hell of a player. But when you look at the Houston, they didn't beat the Yankees because of their offense. They beat the timely hitting, but they beat the Yankees on the strength of the starting pitching and the bullpen. That's simple. They didn't win. They didn't outslug them. They didn't.
Wow.
And you know what?
By saying their hitting is more consistent. Houston.
Then who? Then Philadelphia? Pay attention. Did you even watch sports? Their hitting is more consistent than Philadelphia's. Philadelphia's putting 10 on the board against top-of-the-line San Diego pitching. San Diego pitching that shut down the Mets and kept the Mets silent.
But the Astros.
This guy doesn't watch sports. He does this for a living, doesn't know what he's talking about.
Excuse me. Did the Astros sweep 2 series?
But they didn't sweep them.
What's the difference? They swept them. You win the game, you lose the game.
You're going into a different beast. They swept 2 anemic offenses. Seattle.
Oh, wait a second. Anemic. Did Seattle take down the nominated by everybody in Canada and Las Vegas to be world champions Toronto Blue Jays?
But the point is,
not chopped liver.
Listen, against upper level pitching, against elite pitching, Seattle was held scoreless for 18 innings. So to me, that says you have an anemic offense. Sure, you can beat up on guys like Bass, and you can beat up on journeyman guys the Blue Jays have in the back end of the pad. Go play against a decent club like Houston. You can play 30 innings, they wouldn't score a run. That's not going to happen against Philadelphia. You can't go through that Philadelphia lineup inning after inning and shut that team down. You can't. They got too many quality guys. They got too many quality guys.
Well, we'll find out. We'll find out.
I'm the baseball guy. Don't have to remind me I'm the manager of the Eastern Bulldogs.
You told me that once or twice.
Oh, geez, pay attention.
I may have forgot
Phillies
that.
in 6 for those of you out there. In the meantime,
Astros in 5.
Astros in 5, Phillies in 6. We're gonna get a quick word from our good friend Nikki Borsch, Carpets for Life, and then we're gonna preview this. We're gonna preview the Monday nighter and go over what happened this weekend in the rather puzzling National Football League. Right back at you.
Welcome to Carpets for Life. For over 30 years, we have been servicing both residential and commercial clients in the sales and installation of custom stair runners on wall-to-wall areas. Our team prides itself in honesty with a regard of professionalism and customer satisfaction. Our many testimonials and continuous referrals is a testament of the quality of workmanship we provide. We strive to ensure a happy customer is a Carpets for Life customer.
An NFL video here? Want to run the NFL video? Yeah. Did we run it? No, not yet. All right, let's run the NFL video, see where my picks landed this week, and then we're going to get you queued up for the Monday Nighter. Got a little bit of information, and we're going to take a tour around the world of Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, see what they're doing on that Monday night. Right? Holy jeez, man, football, can't figure it out.
How you doing?
Back at you after
the stinking run. Scouts, Billy the Greek here, previewing NFL football. 22-14 on the year, 22-14-1. 61%. So big debate with a couple of loved ones over the last week. What's a good football record? Well, 22-14-1 is 61%, and that's probably a little bit better than you. But as my buddy said, 22-14 is good, but it ain't great. So here's what I'm gonna do for you, Junior. Pick up a pen, pick up a paper, and pay attention. If the rest of you would like to do so and follow this vision and this plan that I have, so be it. If you don't, go your own way and see how it turns out for you. Before I get there, this preview is brought to you by my good friends at Carpets for Life. Click the link on the post. Visit the Merritt Carpets. They'll take care of you, residential, commercial, or otherwise. So we kick things off. And here's the plan. Today I'm gonna condense. I'm gonna condense the card to 5 games. And what I'm gonna do for you is I'm planning on running this table. And I'm going to start off with Indianapolis at Tennessee as 1.5-point underdogs. So Indianapolis, much to my surprise, anyways, I had Matty Ryan dead to rights earlier this year, but something happened there. I guess he's got a little comfortable, and the trajectory of Indianapolis as a sleeper team is evident in my eyes. Therefore, Indy's the pick plus 1.5. Game two. Are you still paying attention, Big Papa? Pay attention a little closer. Get your pen or pencil or marker, whatever you use. Atlanta travels to Cincinnati as 6.5-point picks. Don't look now, but the Falcons are atop the division with Tampa Bay at 3-3. They're playing good football. Beat San Francisco at home. Don't sleep on them. Cincinnati and Joey Burrow, they're showing signs, but then they regress. That's just how it's going to be all year for that club. So give us Atlanta plus 6.5, and don't be surprised if that game somehow ends up 26-23 Atlanta in overtime. Just as a prop bet, you might consider a few 20s on calling an overtime game there. Rather, I can't even speak. Jesus to Murphy, my greatest skill. It's like the older you get, the less access you have to your vocabulary. Jesus, man. Thankfully, I'm still good looking and not homeless yet. Las Vegas hosts the Texans as coming off a bye as 7-point favorites. I ordinarily can't put these words together. Ordinarily, we don't like to put a 1-4 club and lay a touchdown. No way in hell, but we're going to make an exception this time. Las Vegas wins that game. Let's cross our fingers that they play the football required to cover the 7 points. And then from there, one of my favorite game, anyways, of the card, we have Denver hosting the Jets. So, like, if you flip back the clock, I don't know, about a month and a half ago, had a lot more money. Anyways, if you flip this card to week 1, the Denver would be maybe double-digit favorites in this game over the Jets. But 6 weeks, we've seen the Jets progress. But here's the issue: you're going a mile high. That Denver team, regardless if Wilson starts that game, maybe if Wilson doesn't start the game, you're better off in any respect. Right? Yeah, whatever. In any way you look at it, how's that? Any way you look at it. Denver played the Chargers last week, took that team to overtime. Some people like the Chargers to win a Super Bowl. That was in LA, took them to overtime, lost the game. So for us, Denver's the play, and it's almost as guaranteed as I can give you. And here's how we're going to close out this. Here's how we're going to close out this 5 team. We're going to go one of 2 ways. The first shot we're going to take Kansas City in San Francisco as a 1.5-point favorite. For me, it's just simple. Kansas City's got the better team. That's a pick 'em. Coming off a loss to Buffalo, Kansas City's the better club all around. So give us Kansas City on one card, right? And then on the other card, we go to the Sunday nighter, and we got Tomlin and Pittsburgh at 8-point underdogs. You know what? There's a lot of I wouldn't call it controversy. There's a lot of unknowns in regards to Miami. Quarterback situation, concussions, two glove, this, that, the other. And always, man, no matter how you feel about the Steelers, always give Mike Tomlin respect. Sunday nighter, 8 points. Don't even be surprised if Pittsburgh wins that game outright, but we'll be sure enough to take those 8 points in our back pocket. There's a 5-teamer with a twist at the end. Pay attention, make the plays, and from this point forward, I'd like to be referred as your investment advisor. I'm not a football handy. I'm just an investment advisor. Catch me and Stormin, Norman Rumack, live from the bottom line, downtown Toronto, 22 Front Street West, locker room at the bottom line, tomorrow at 7 p.m. Great show, great guests, and of course, yours truly will be there to let you know about everything else. Good luck with your picks. See you tomorrow night. Bye for now.
All right, we're back. And so, Billy, inquiring minds want to know, how did you score on your NFL picks?
I was sitting in a house. I'm not going to tell you exactly where. It was in the Maine and Girard area about 15 years ago, right?
15 years ago?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I remember the scene like it was yesterday. So anyways, late night, man, that could have been 3, 4 in the morning. Anyway, so, the Greeks still fighting at that time.
Yeah.
And I had a colleague of mine right beside me. And they say, "Hey, Billy, let me ask you something." I said, I couldn't put a sentence together. I said, "What do you want?" Right?
Yeah.
And they said, "Why, when you begin with so much pomp and show, is the ending so little and so low?" I lost my mind. Never forget that comment 15 years ago, Maine and Girard upstairs. Anyway, so that's the long and the short of it. Tried to put together a recipe for a perfect Sunday. Ended up, I kissed your sister. Do you have a sister? No. 3-3. So kiss my sister. But when you consider, all things considered, in the season that is in the National Football League, which is topsy-turvy, when you start out picking like an idiot when you start taking Atlanta over Cincinnati and Indianapolis, Matt Ryan, worst QB in the league, and you're 0-2, right? Just to go 3-3 and 500, you got to go 75% on the remaining there. So at the end of the day, salvage the week, but it's obviously not what I expect of myself, and it's not what I expect to give the people, right? I expect at least 2-3 times a year in an 18-week season to run the table and to give a perfect card to the people that follow. And, at that point in time, I still didn't deliver on that, so obviously not happy.
All right. Okay, fair enough. Well, I guess there's even, this year's NFL so far, there's very few surefires like Buffalo, Kansas City, right? Like, probably they're, in terms of the spread anyways, they're good wagering teams, right? Because they're not going to, they might have the odd softer game in terms of a result. But generally speaking, you can bank on them, right? But there's not that many teams you can bank on with the parity. So like even with the, you see the way the Jets are playing, the way the Dolphins are playing, the Giants, the Eagles. Now, like they have that old expression, which has become true again, on any given Sunday. It's very much on any given Sunday.
And
right?
and again, I know a thing or two about the world of, I call it, I'm not a football handicapper. I rather refer to myself as a investment advisor.
Okay.
Sounds better.
Yeah.
There's a little seedy undertones to football. I'm an investment advisor. So anyways, here's what I'll tell you. Even at 25-17, which is still 60%, and if you go 60%, you can make a living. But even so, it's never been for me to visualize what's going to happen from Sunday to Sunday. It's never been tougher. So many things have come to the fore that are unexpected. And here's the funny thing, and this drives me crazy. I don't know why I was feeling like this, but I kind of felt sorry for Tommy Brady. Like I looked,
that's a little bit
sorry for that guy. I looked at him, and it looked like I finally seen a human 46. He's getting old. He's got stress, man. He aged like overnight in 1 year, man. He aged. If you look at that guy, even last year was a pretty boy. I don't know what's going on in his house, but he's endured a lot of stress, dude.
Well, isn't he getting divorced or is
whatever?
Divorced?
You see, it's funny, and guys, and any guy person out there can, even women. There's a certain age, certain years in your life where you really age. And for Tommy, for me, from 39, I met a Greek woman. I aged 50 years in 6 months. Man, it happens to the best of us. Tommy Brady. If you see his post-game interviews, man, he looks wiry, he looks skinny, he looks old, man. He got old quick, and you know what?
Yeah.
And the only person that's undefeated in the National Football League and in any sports, you know what it is? That's Father Time. Father Time doesn't let anybody laugh forever, and it looks like Brady is finally at a point in his life where the odds are completely, since he got drafted in the 6th round, 199 overall, this is the first time in his life where he's completely the underdog, and odds are that he will never recapture any form of glory. That's just the first time as we watch as sports fans in 20 years.
Well, you think about it in the history of, let's say, the NFL, or more so in the NFL, and you're trying to think, is there anybody, and I know of one, and you do too, anybody who is going to say retired from the game well ahead of their time? They didn't have to. They could have played. There's one guy in particular who's legendary for it.
Barry Sanders, obviously.
Well, no, I was going to mention Jim Brown could have played football another 10 years.
How do I look better? Look good. Hey? Is there any ladies going to be watching this? Should I do like a little pose? Hey, all right. I'm a man of the people. Go ahead, Norm. I'm talking.
I know.
You're talking. I got a different agenda here, man.
I know. You're trying to recruit to your stable of fans.
Clean themselves, Norm Rumack. Holy jeez. I shouldn't have said that. I'm going to get in trouble now.
So no, but in all seriousness, Jim Brown could do movies, and if you can co-star with Raquel Welch, why, instead of getting your body,
we're going the full hour. Screw it, me and Rumack.
I'm just saying. So Jim Brown, he probably could have played easily another 5 years. Right? He went way ahead of his time.
But here's the problem.
Very few guys will do
Here's
that.
the problem.
Yeah.
You got to be 90 years old to know who Jim Brown is, man. Let's
but
keep
it's
it
true.
A little more.
Let's
use Barry Sanders as a prime example, as a guy that got out before his time.
Okay.
But from the quarterback position, leader of the club, it's rare. Probably the only guy that you can make that, and again, it's more for health reasons, was Andrew Luck, and he was never on the level that we're talking about.
that was, and he made it clear it was for health reasons. Yeah,
right. Yeah. That's probably the only guy that, off the top of my head, you can think of. But also, you're facing the same kind of thing in Green Bay, where there's Aaron Rodgers doubters, where you see him, and it looks like these guys are getting old overnight, and I guess we are
but
too.
The team around him doesn't look too good either.
It's not only the team. It's not only the team around him.
Yeah.
Here's the issue that is lacking, especially in Green Bay, and that's one area of trust. Aaron Rodgers does not trust anybody on that field. In his eyes, everybody he's throwing that football to is beneath him, is not on the level he's accustomed to. And here's the problem with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers needs to make those guys better, but at the same point in time, those guys need to step up. So Green Bay's in a funny spot, but here's what I would tell you on both clubs, right? You never would bet against them, and it'd be an interesting down the road if we visualize what the playoffs would look like. One of these couple clubs is gonna possibly sneak into a wild card. You're talking about 3 and 4 Rams, 3 and 4 Packers, 3 and 4 Niners, and 3 and 4 Bucks, right?
Yeah.
Like, would you like to face any of those 4 clubs in the first round of playoffs?
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
still dangerous.
Well, Denver's another example. I mean,
Denver's a train wreck.
That's what I'm saying. But there's a situation where you had a great quarterback in Seattle, and now it's like he can't find receivers. It's like it just seems to be.
But it's a little more in Denver than receivers. They got Jerry Jeudy. They got guys. It's Russell Wilson. Obviously, there's health issues. Sat out against Denver and lose to the Jets at home.
Yeah, but before, when he was still playing, he was like you tell me, was it I can't believe all those receivers didn't know their routes.
Here's what it looks like to me: a changing of the guard, and the guard starts and ends with Josh Allen from Buffalo. To me, it looks like that. First of all, in terms of forecasting the future in the NFL, could anybody in this world, man, to fight one person, predicted that the 2 powerhouse divisions would be the NFC East and the AFC East? Those are the 2 powerhouse
divisions. Actually, probably there's no. We talk about the clubs that have shocked everybody. I'm sure I can say confidently, Billy, you'd agree with this. There's no more shocking team in the NFL in terms of positivity out of nowhere than the New York Jets.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, did anybody have them winning more than 3 or 4? I know they've made changes in management and players, but honestly, did anyone have them winning more than 2 or 3 games this year?
Three games is it? Nobody anticipated they would be on top or near the top of the AFC
right
East.
Behind Buffalo,
Nobody anticipated that. And what you got to factor in is also they got a defense. They've collected a lot of guys. So on the defensive end, coach is doing a good job over there. But the Jets, the Jets moving forward. If I was an investment analyst, I am. I wouldn't necessarily jump on the Jet bandwagon for a Super Bowl run at this point, but it's a nice story. The team that's the most surprising for me, and frankly, it's the worst 6-1 club I've ever seen in my life, is the smoke and mirror New York Giants. New York, do not be surprised if New York ends the season 8-9 or that kind of thing. New York is one bad movement away from a
you don't like that quarterback?
I like the quarterback, but if you see the way the Giants are pulling out games, Jacksonville, this, that, the other, Giants to me are a facade. They're not a 6-1 team, and they're nowhere close to Dallas or Philadelphia in that division. But again, a pleasant surprise. You put 6 on the board, W's, it's 6 wins. I can't take them away from them. But don't look for 11 and 12 from that club because it ain't happening.
You know this all that because I just can't recall. When's the last time the Big Apple had both their NFL teams in the postseason?
Yeah, it just so coincided with the collapse of the Yankees, so it was perfect. So you're telling me this, you're in the Big Apple, right? You're riding the Bronx Bombers all summer. They get swept out, and now
the Mets go out. Don't forget
the Mets and the Bombers go out, and then and then the Jets on fire, 5-1, 6-1 Giants, 5-2. It's unbelievable, and that's the
poetic justice.
You can't figure out the NFL. Nobody can figure out the NFL, especially considering the standings. What I'm looking for as a Cowboy fan, obviously, that comeback against Detroit, pedestrian-like performance. But here's what I will tell you, and I've said this on numerous occasions for Cowboy fans. Finally, and it's been probably 30 years since Dallas has had a top 5 defense in the National Football League. You'd have to go that far back, and Dallas is a dangerous club. Like, can you imagine Dallas with that defense?
Yeah.
And they add an OBJ out wide, or they add a couple offensive weapons.
Well, it would make
to me. Yeah, the number 1 scoring offense last year. The only guy taken away is Cooper, and you bring back the same offense, and your defense is top 5. To me, don't sleep on. I'm a Cowboy fan, but for me, at this point in time, if I'm doing a power rankings, it's Buffalo, Dallas, Philadelphia. Still like Cowboys over Philadelphia, and Kansas City in the 4th spot.
All right. Okay, so are we out of time? I think
No,
we're
we got obviously people tune in. They want to see who we like on the Monday nighter, Norm.
Oh, okay.
What do you
Sorry,
think people
pardon me.
watch here? They watch for my good looks. They want money in their pocket. They want the Greek to fit. Isn't that right, Stevie B, man, out in Newmarket? I'm going to see you this Saturday. I met a good buddy of ours talking. Here,
So
hold on.
no, I was just going to ask
I
you.
met a good buddy of ours, Rosie. We'll see you at the Bad Boys up 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock by the cop shop on Newmarket. Give my word, I'll be out there.
So
All
do
right?
you think your Monday night pick will be better than your more successful than your weekend picks?
That was a slight jab. If I
No, well, you were honest enough to admit. So I'm just saying. It's like,
you know what? When a guy like me goes 500, man, like people want to like that's the problem with greatness. Once you've established yourself at such a high level,
sure.
It's like.
But that's like the teams we talk about, right?
Yeah, it's like
expectation.
When I tell you guys there's nobody better, and I have a good week, and I have a bad week, you know what happens?
What
People
happens?
Smile. People enjoy seeing a guy like the Greek man put his.
Where do you
his foot.
find nasty people like this?
You know what? They're all over the internet. These trolls, man. When I go 6-0, right? When I go 0-6, people are high fiving themselves at home, man. Right?
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate.
So they talk. Can I say SHT? Do they talk?
When you put yourself on a pedestal and you're the best handicapper in North America, it comes with the territory. So bring it on, man. You know what? Win, lose, or draw, I'm going to give you 30 years of every piece of knowledge and memory that I got and every will and determination to put money in your pocket. I give you everything I got. And some days it's not enough, but you know what? Do never bet against me. And speaking of bets, I'm going to lay it on you. New England with the hoodie goes into host Chicago as 9-point underdogs. And I'm thinking to myself, right? Obviously New England transition. How can I give 9 points to a guy named Zapp? What's his last name, Jordan? How do you pronounce that guy's last name? No, Zappy. Zappy? Zappy? That's his name? Bailey Zappy. So you're telling me, folks, Bailey Zappy. Just forget the player. It doesn't really matter what Bailey Zappy as a 9-point favorite. Just something doesn't register there, does it?
No.
Bailey friggin' Zappy.
Well, okay.
How the hell can you have a career with that last name, Zappy?
What if he wins the Super Bowl this year?
Zappy. Following in the footsteps
would you say
of Brady, we got, what's his first name? Bailey Zappy.
It's a great name for marketing, Billy.
Bailey Zappy.
And it has a ring to
Listen,
it.
man, sorry I don't know Bailey Zappy. I haven't watched it.
Imagine he could have his own beer. Bailey Zappy beer.
I think Matt Jones is back tonight.
He is?
Oh, does
that change the plans? Matt Jones coming back quarter.
Matt Jones expected to start.
Expected to start? All right, quarterback controversy. Let's take the 9 points in the Bears. What do you got, Norm?
How about Zappy?
You're making a mark. This is a hold on.
I'm saying it's a great name.
This is a sponsored program. The good people at COSA.
I know them. I know them.
Ontario Stamp Association and Carpets. This is a sponsored program, Norm. It's not fun and games. People want information, so they want to know.
It is games. What do you think about? Hell, we talking about?
Listen, who do you got on the Monday nighter? I told you I'll take the Bears and plug my nose. Who do you got? 9-point favorites. Chicago, New England, and Chicago. What's it going to be, Norm Rumack? 30 years in the business. You got degrees. Why don't you pick a winner, man? Who you got?
Okay. I'm going to go with the legendary, not because of the quarterback. I'm going to pick Bill Belichick to pull a rabbit out of Billy's Phillies hat.
All right, so they're going to win. Listen, it's not about winners. Do you even know what a point spread is?
I know what.
All right, are they going to cover 9 or not?
Yes.
All right, Norman, Billy Belichick. Me and Mike Ditka.
No, Billy.
The Bears.
Billy and his Philly.
Phillies to the World Series.
He gave up on your Blue Jays.
Anyways, it was a pleasure once again, Norm.
Yes.
Yeah, sure it was.
It was an honor, Billy.
Yeah.
It was an honor.
Yeah.
When are you going to buy a Flyer shirt to complete?
I got one at home.
Okay.
I give
you my old Donovan McNabb Eagles jersey?
If the Flyers got a 3-0 week, I'll jump on any bandwagon that puts $1 in my pocket, man. Speaking of bandwagons, thanks for those of you that continue to tune in. Thanks for those of you that I don't know, even at some points in time be a part of what it is.
Yeah, thanks for checking out the show. You know, Billy and I enjoy doing the podcast version of bench clearing brawls, no holds barred, and then we enjoy a nice little couple of chicken wings here.
Hopefully they're on the host tonight, eh?
hopefully, yeah, because
Wayne Cali, bottom line, every Monday, 7 o'clock. We'll catch you guys next week.
don't forget, we got to thank Jordan,
Absolutely.
our esteemed producer.
Yeah.
And we
Does
got
a
to
great
thank
job.
everybody watching. And
I just did that. What do you
and-
think? Who gives a rat's ass
yeah,
about that? Let's get the wings. See
all
you
right.
later. Bye-bye. All right. Next week. See you later.
bye. God bless.